I woke up in a hospital bed with my head wrapped in bandages and machines beeping around me, and the first thing I remembered was the moment before the truck slammed into my car, when I was smiling because I had just inherited $35 million and couldn't wait to tell my son the news that would change our lives forever. The pain in my ribs was unbearable. But nothing hurt more than the silence of my phone sitting on the nightstand, showing 0 missed calls from Daniel, my only son, the person I had raised alone after his father walked out on us when he was just 3 years old. The accident happened on Highway 101, just outside San Francisco, on a foggy Tuesday afternoon in March. I had been driving carefully, both hands on the wheel, thinking about how I would break the news to Daniel. My Aunt Margaret, whom I hadn't seen in 20 years, had passed away in her estate in Connecticut, and her lawyers had contacted me to inform me that she had left me her entire fortune. $35 million. The number still felt unreal in my mind, like something from a movie rather than my actual life. But then, the truck came out of nowhere, crossing the median and hitting my sedan on the driver's side. The world spun, glass shattered, metal crunched, and everything went black. When I woke up 3 days later, the doctors told me I was lucky to be alive. I had 3 broken ribs, a severe concussion, internal bleeding that required surgery, and more bruises than I could count. They said someone had found me and called 911 just in time. The first thing I did when I could move my arms was reach for my phone. My hands shook as I scrolled through my contacts to find Daniel's number. We hadn't spoken in almost 2 months, not since our last argument about his girlfriend, a woman I had only met once and immediately distrusted because of the way she looked at my son's apartment, calculating the value of everything in it with her eyes. The phone rang 4 times before he answered. His voice was distant, distracted. "Mom, what is it? I'm at work." "Daniel," I said, and my voice came out weaker than I expected, broken and hoarse. "I've been in an accident. I'm in the hospital. San Francisco General. I need you." There was a pause. I could hear voices in the background, laughter, the clinking of glasses. He wasn't at work. He was at a restaurant or a bar. "How bad is it?" he asked, and his tone was casual, like he was asking about the weather. "Bad," I said, fighting back tears. "I almost died. The doctor said I'm lucky to be alive. Can you come? Please?" Another pause, longer this time. Then he said the words that would echo in my mind for weeks. "Mom, I don't have time for this kind of thing right now. I'm sure you're fine if you're calling me. The hospital is taking care of you, right? They have people for this." I couldn't speak. My throat closed up, and tears ran down my face, stinging the cuts on my cheeks. "Daniel," I whispered, but he had already hung up. If you're listening to this story and feeling the emotions I felt in that moment, I want to ask you something important. This channel is trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and your support means everything. Click that subscribe button right now. It's just 1 click, but it helps this channel grow and bring you more stories like this one. We're so close to that goal, and you can be part of making it happen. I spent 3 weeks in that hospital. 3 weeks of physical therapy, of nurses checking my vitals, of doctors discussing my recovery. 3 weeks of staring at my phone, hoping Daniel would call back, would apologize, would show up. But he never did. My hospital room had a window that overlooked the city, and I would sit there for hours, watching the fog roll in from the bay, thinking about how I had raised Daniel alone, working 2 jobs to put him through college, sacrificing everything so he could have opportunities I never had. I remembered the little boy who used to hold my hand crossing the street, who would bring me drawings from school, who told me I was his hero. Where had that boy gone? When had he become this stranger who couldn't spare a few hours to visit his mother in the hospital? The inheritance lawyers called me twice during my stay. They needed signatures, paperwork, confirmation of my identity. I told them about the accident, and they were sympathetic, offering to send someone to the hospital. The money was real. $35 million, sitting in an account with my name on it, Money that could change everything. Money that could give Daniel the life he always wanted. And yet, I couldn't bring myself to tell him about it over the phone, not after the way he had dismissed me. When I was finally discharged, I took a cab back to my small apartment in Daly City. The place looked the same as when I had left it that foggy afternoon, but everything felt different. I felt different. The doctors had warned me that recovery would take time, that I needed to rest, to avoid stress. But how could I rest when my mind kept replaying that phone conversation, when I kept wondering what had happened to my son? I tried calling him again a week after I got home. This time, he didn't answer. I left a voicemail. "Daniel, it's your mom. I'm out of the hospital now. I'm okay. I wanted to talk to you about something important. Please call me back." He didn't. The money sat in the bank account, untouched. I couldn't even think about it without feeling a strange mix of guilt and anger. Guilt because Aunt Margaret had left it to me instead of her own children, who had apparently disappointed her in ways I didn't fully understand. Anger because the one person I wanted to share this news with, the person who should have cared about my well-being, had abandoned me when I needed him most. Your support really matters right now. If this story is touching your heart, help us reach 1,000 subscribers by clicking that subscribe button below. It's free. It takes just a second, and it makes a huge difference. We're building a community here, and you're invited to be part of it. April turned into May. Spring arrived in San Francisco with its usual confusion of warm days and cold nights. I spent most of my time at home, healing slowly, both physically and emotionally. The bruises faded from purple to yellow to nothing. The ribs stopped hurting when I breathed. But the wound Daniel had left didn't heal as easily. I thought about reaching out to him through social media, but every time I opened the apps, I saw pictures of him living his life. Photos at restaurants, at concerts, at beach parties. In many of them, he was with a woman, a beautiful blonde woman with perfect teeth and designer clothes. She wasn't the girlfriend I had met before. This was someone new. They looked happy together, their arms around each other, their smiles bright and careless. I wanted to be happy for him. I wanted to believe that he had found someone who made him better, who brought out the kind young man I remembered. But something about those photos bothered me. The way she looked at the camera, the expensive restaurants they frequented, the luxury hotels in the background. Daniel worked in marketing at a startup. His salary was decent, but not extravagant. How was he affording this lifestyle? Then I remembered. He had been planning to propose to his previous girlfriend. He had asked me for advice, even though we weren't talking much at the time. He wanted to know if his grandmother's ring, the one I had kept safe for years, would be appropriate. I had told him it would be perfect, a family heirloom with meaning and history. But apparently, that relationship had ended, and now there was this new woman who seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. June arrived with its famous San Francisco fog. I had started going for short walks around my neighborhood, trying to rebuild my strength. The doctor said I was healing remarkably well for someone who had been through such a severe accident. They didn't know that the real damage wasn't physical. On a Wednesday morning, I decided to call Daniel one more time. I had practiced what I would say, how I would tell him about the inheritance without making it seem like I was trying to buy his attention. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Then he answered. "Mom." His voice sounded different, warmer, almost excited. "I was just about to call you." My heart jumped. "You were?" "Yeah. I heard from Aunt Carol that you were in some kind of accident. Why didn't you tell me it was serious?" Aunt Carol, my sister. I hadn't told her not to say anything, but I hadn't expected her to contact Daniel either. "I did tell you," I said carefully. "I called you from the hospital. You said you didn't have time." Silence. Then, "Oh, that. I thought you were being dramatic. You know how you get sometimes. But Carol said you almost died. Is that true?" How I get sometimes. The word stung. Yes, I said. It was very serious. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. 3 weeks? He sounded genuinely shocked now. Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. Listen, I want to come see you. I need to see you. Are you home today? Something in his tone made me suspicious. It was too eager, too sudden, but I was also desperate for my son's attention, for some sign that he still cared. Yes, I said. I'm home. Great. I'll come by this afternoon. Around 3? And Mom, there's someone I want you to meet. Someone really special. Before I could respond, he hung up. I sat there holding my phone, feeling a mixture of hope and dread. He was coming to see me. After months of silence, after ignoring me in the hospital, he was finally coming. But why? What had changed? I spent the next few hours cleaning my apartment, which was already clean, and trying to make myself presentable. The accident had left me thinner, paler, older looking. I put on makeup for the first time in weeks, trying to hide the remaining shadows under my eyes, the hollowness in my cheeks. If you're invested in finding out what happens next, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. We're working hard to reach 1,000 subscribers, and your click makes that possible. Hit that red subscribe button and join us on this journey. It only takes a second, but it means the world. At exactly 3 o'clock, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Daniel standing there, looking tanned and healthy and more handsome than I remembered. He was wearing an expensive-looking suit, the kind he definitely couldn't afford on his salary. And next to him stood the blonde woman from the photos, dressed in designer clothes that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Mom, Daniel said, stepping forward to hug me. The embrace was brief, perfunctory. You look good, really good. Carol said you were at death's door. I was, I said quietly. I'm better now. He didn't seem to hear me. He was already turning to the woman beside him. Mom, this is Victoria. Victoria, this is my mom, Eleanor. Victoria extended a perfectly manicured hand. Her nails were long and painted a deep red. She was beautiful in an intimidating way, with sharp cheekbones and ice blue eyes that seemed to be evaluating everything they saw. It's so nice to finally meet you, she said in a voice that was smooth and practiced. Daniel has told me so much about you. I shook her hand, noticing how cold her fingers were. It's nice to meet you too. Please come in. They entered my small apartment, and I immediately felt self-conscious about the worn furniture, the outdated kitchen, the modest space that suddenly seemed smaller with them in it. Victoria's eyes swept the room in a single glance, and I saw something flicker in her expression. Disappointment? Calculation? So this is where you live, Daniel said, sitting on my couch like he was visiting a stranger. It's cozy. Cozy. The word people used when they meant small and cramped. It's home, I said. Can I get you something to drink? Coffee? Tea? We're fine, Victoria said quickly, settling onto the couch next to Daniel and placing her hand possessively on his knee. We can't stay long. We have dinner reservations at 7. I sat in the armchair across from them, feeling like an outsider in my own home. So, I said, looking at Daniel. You said you wanted to see me. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, Daniel said, glancing at Victoria before continuing. We wanted to come by and check on you. Make sure you're okay. Carol said the accident was really bad. It was, I said. I almost died. The doctor said I was lucky. That's terrible, Victoria said, but her voice lacked emotion. She was looking around the room again, her eyes landing on the old photographs on my walls. Pictures of Daniel as a child, of my parents, of happier times. So, Daniel said, leaning forward. Mom, I need to talk to you about something important. Victoria and I are getting married. The announcement hit me like a physical blow. Married? I repeated. But you just met. How long have you been together? 3 months, Victoria said proudly. But when you know, you know. 3 months. He had known this woman for 3 months, and in that same time period, he hadn't bothered to visit me in the hospital. I felt my chest tighten. That's very fast, I said carefully. We're in love, Daniel said, and he looked at Victoria with an expression I hadn't seen on his face in years. Happiness. Pure, uncomplicated happiness. It made me want to be happy for him, but something felt wrong. Take a moment right now and subscribe to this channel. Your support helps us continue sharing these stories. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and each new subscriber brings us closer to that milestone. Click subscribe and be part of our growing community. Congratulations, I said, forcing a smile. When is the wedding? That's what we wanted to talk to you about, Daniel said. We're planning a big wedding, really big. Victoria comes from a prominent family and her parents want something spectacular. The venue alone is going to cost $50,000. $50,000. I felt dizzy. That's a lot of money. It is, Victoria agreed, but it's going to be perfect. 300 guests, a live band, flowers everywhere, the best food San Francisco can offer. My parents are covering most of it, but there are some expenses Daniel wants to handle himself. As the groom, you know. I looked at my son. Daniel, how are you going to afford that? Your job. That's the thing, he interrupted. I was hoping you might be able to help. I know you don't have much, but maybe you could take out a loan or something. I'd pay you back eventually. The room felt suddenly airless. He had come here, after ignoring me for months, after refusing to visit me in the hospital, to ask me for money. Not to check on me. Not because he cared. For money. I don't think I can do that, I said quietly. Victoria's hand tightened on Daniel's knee. Daniel told me you were close, she said, and there was an edge to her voice now. He said you always supported him. This is his wedding day we're talking about, the most important day of his life. I've always supported him, I said, my voice stronger now. I raised him alone. I worked 2 jobs so he could go to college. I gave him everything I had. Then what's a little more? Victoria asked, and she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Daniel looked uncomfortable now. Mom, forget it. We shouldn't have asked. It's just, things are tight right now, and with the wedding coming up. How did you afford those fancy restaurants? I asked, surprising myself with my boldness. The hotels, the clothes, I've seen your social media. Victoria's expression hardened. That's none of your concern. He's my son. Everything about him is my concern. He's a grown man, Victoria said coolly. And soon, he'll be my husband. Maybe it's time you learn to let go. The words hung in the air like poison. Daniel said nothing, just looked down at his hands, and I realized with a sinking feeling that he agreed with her. I think you should leave, I said. Victoria stood immediately, pulling Daniel up with her. Fine. We have better things to do anyway. Come on, Daniel. Daniel looked at me for a moment, and I thought I saw something in his eyes. Guilt? Regret? But then Victoria tugged on his arm, and he followed her to the door. Daniel, I said, and he paused. I love you. No matter what, I love you. He nodded but didn't say it back. Then they were gone, and I was alone in my apartment, trembling with emotions I couldn't name. I didn't hear from him for 2 weeks. 2 weeks of silence that felt like years. I kept expecting him to call, to apologize, to explain. But nothing came. During that time, I made a decision. I contacted the inheritance lawyers and began the process of setting up accounts, investments, trusts. $35 million was more money than I could ever spend, but it could also do tremendous good. I started researching charities, organizations that helped single mothers, that provided college scholarships, that supported people who had been through what I had been through. I also hired a private investigator. I needed to know who Victoria really was, what her intentions were with my son. It cost me $5,000, but I had $35 million in the bank. I could afford it. The report came back a week later, and what I read made my blood run cold. Victoria Sanders, age 28, originally from Los Angeles. She had been married twice before, both times to wealthy older men. The first marriage lasted 11 months and ended in a divorce settlement of $700,000. The second lasted 8 months and netted her $1.2 million. Both ex-husbands claimed she was a gold digger, but by the time they realized it, it was too late. She had spent the last year in San Francisco, frequenting expensive establishments, targeting successful young men. She had been engaged 3 times since arriving in the city, each engagement broken off when the men ran out of money or caught on to her schemes. The report included photos. Victoria at charity galas with men old enough to be her grandfather. Victoria at exclusive clubs, always dressed immaculately, always with a different companion. Victoria in tabloid articles about social climbers and wealthy divorcees. My son had no idea who he was about to marry. I tried calling him immediately, but his phone went straight to voicemail. I tried texting, but my messages went unread. I even drove to his apartment, but no one answered the door. Finally, I contacted Aunt Carol and asked her to reach out to Daniel, to set up a meeting. She was reluctant at first, not wanting to get involved, but when I told her what I had discovered, she agreed. Subscribe to this channel if you want to hear how this story ends. We're building something special here, and we need just 1,000 subscribers to reach our first major goal. Your subscription helps us grow and bring you more compelling stories. Click that subscribe button now and join our community. The meeting was set for a Saturday afternoon at a coffee shop in North Beach, neutral territory. Carol said Daniel had been reluctant to agree, but she had insisted, telling him it was important family business. I arrived 30 minutes early, clutching the private investigator's report in my purse. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I ordered a coffee I didn't drink and sat by the window, watching people pass by on the street. San Francisco was beautiful that day, sunny and clear, the kind of day that felt full of possibility. Daniel arrived exactly on time, alone. He looked tired, with dark circles under his eyes and wrinkles in his usually crisp shirt. He sat down across from me without ordering anything. "Mom," he said, "this better be important. Victoria is furious that I'm here." "It is important," I said. "Daniel, I need you to listen to me. Really listen." He sighed. "If this is about money again—" "It's not about money," I interrupted. "It's about Victoria. I had her investigated." His face darkened. "You did what?" "I had to," I said, pulling out the report. "Daniel, she's been married twice before. She targets wealthy men, marries them, and divorces them for money. She's done this multiple times. You're her next mark." He stared at the papers I had placed on the table, but didn't touch them. "That's ridiculous. Victoria loves me." "Does she?" I asked gently. "Daniel, think about it. How did you meet her?" "At a bar. She approached me. We hit it off." "A bar where successful businessmen go," I said. "Daniel, she's a professional. Look at the evidence. Her ex-husbands, her pattern of behavior, the engagement ring she's collected. She doesn't love you. She loves what she thinks you can give her." "And what can I give her?" Daniel demanded. "I'm not rich. I don't have money. If she was after money, she picked the wrong guy." "She thinks I have money," I said quietly. "She thinks you come from money. That's why she's with you." Daniel stood up abruptly. "This is insane. You're jealous because I'm happy. Because I found someone who actually cares about me, unlike you who's been absent my whole life. The accusation stunned me. Absent? Daniel, I raised you alone. I worked myself to exhaustion for you. You were never there, he said, his voice rising. You were always working, always tired, always stressed. Victoria is right. You're controlling and manipulative, and you can't stand to see me happy. She said that about me? I asked, my heart breaking. She understands me in ways you never did, Daniel said. I'm done with this conversation. I'm done with you trying to control my life. He turned to leave, and I made a desperate decision. I inherited $35 million, I said loudly enough to make him stop. He turned slowly. What? Aunt Margaret died and left me $35 million. I was on my way to tell you when I had the accident you couldn't be bothered to visit me for. His face went white. 35 million? Yes, I said. That's what Victoria is really after. Somehow she found out. Maybe through Carol, maybe through someone else. But she knows, and that's why she's marrying you. Not because she loves you, but because she thinks she'll get access to my money through you. Daniel sat back down heavily. He looked like he might be sick. $35 million, he repeated. Yes, I said. And I wasn't going to tell you like this. I wanted it to be special. I wanted to share this blessing with you because you're my son, and I love you. But then the accident happened, and you didn't come. And now there's Victoria. He was quiet for a long time, staring at his hands. Finally, he said, How do I know you're telling the truth? About Victoria, about the money, about any of it. I pulled out my phone and showed him the bank statements, the letters from the lawyers, everything. He read through them slowly.